Mr. Kalin, thank you for having me here tonight to give the city's perspective on this. And unlike the commissioners when they're talking, there's a sunshine law, and I'm bound by it as well when I'm talking to city council members, but I can talk to them individually without violating sunshine as well, but no one else from the city is here. I don't know who, I think it was you, ma'am, that asked, what does the bill say? So I have a copy of it here. The bill was actually filed January 7th because the House of Representatives rules indicate that after they publicly notice it in the newspaper, they have to wait at least 30 days to submit it to the House of Representatives. So what this bill entails is, in essence, we don't know. That's the bottom line. We don't know what it actually says. However, what it does say is, notwithstanding any interlocal agreement to the contrary, Charlotte County is authorized to assume responsibility for potable water and wastewater utility services, operations, billing, management, and associated assets and obligations for utility functions located in central lands lying outside the district upon this act becoming a law. So what we don't know is, what are the operations? What are the billing? What is the management? What are the associated assets? Does that mean the city of Punta Gorda that services outside of the city limits, do they have to transfer the water plant to the county as well? Does the county have to buy the water treatment plant from the city? We don't know what it means because nothing is defined in this bill. If I'm not mistaken, and well, you guys can't answer it, I believe that the county's utility rates are a little bit higher than the city's utility rates, which could affect some people. But what this bill is trying to establish as well is that the city of Punta Gorda has a codified boundary, which means they can only service water inside the city limits. The main purpose of this bill, what my understanding is, involves the ECAP area, the Enterprise Charlotte Airport Park, which is all the land east of the city going up 17, down towards Jones Loop Road, all that land out by the airport. That's my understanding is what this is, because the city water treatment plant services all that area as well. So you could be in the unincorporated part of Charlotte County, but you get a bill from the city of Punta Gorda in this particular part of the county. We don't know if it means if you're currently serviced by the city of Punta Gorda's water treatment plant, that it would be transferred to the county. We don't know if you would maintain service with the city. We just don't know. I've been pretty outspoken about this bill. And when Commissioner Constance was here, he mentioned President Trump being a disruptor and he doesn't like the status quo. And I'm kind of the same way. I've known Representative Oliver for 20 years. And I think she's a fantastic person. I just strongly disagree with this bill. And that's okay, because business is business. So I was able to hear what both commissioners said. I'm going to fill in some blanks that you guys may not know right now. So there was a lot of talk about the city. Been a lot of talk in the news on whether it's print media, whether it's digital media, whether it is the TV media, on how this bill originated. Well, that we don't know either. Neither the county knows nor the city knows on why or how it originated. What Representative Oliver has indicated was, in October, the city of Punta Gorda sent Representative Oliver a legislative appropriations request asking for $4 million to complete what has already been built, their reverse osmosis plant. The water treatment plant in the city of Punta Gorda is equipped today to produce 14 million gallons of water a day. During the peak season, we're able to do that. Whether it's from Shell Creek, whether we have to buy water from the Peace River Waterman, or the Peace River Water, am I saying it right, Joe?
Just call it the Water Authority.
The Water Authority, whether you have to get water from somewhere else. I was surprised when all this came through that water isn't just produced in one location. It's constantly flowing everywhere. It's flowing, to DeSoto, it's flowing north, it's flowing south, and they do that to keep the minerals fresh. So when you drink, you don't have some kind of awful, sulfur tasting water. The bill came through when Vanessa Oliver indicated, the city indicated they have a shortage of supply. They are incapable and are in dire needs of help. But what Representative Oliver failed to mention was the city was asking the state for $4 million to complete what they've already gotten money for. The city sent the letter to Representative Oliver saying, hey, here is our legislative request. Here is what we would like from the state. As the county does as well. You're always asking the state and your delegation, your legislative delegation, give us money. The county gets money, the city gets money to help finalize and finish projects. Representative Oliver never met in person with any city official, not the city manager, not a city council person. Next thing we know, I believe it was right around December 3rd, December 5th, we see some proposed bill. It was quiet for 2 months, not a peep about anything. During that time frame, the county and the city worked really hard together to draft and complete and finalize an interlocal water agreement providing roughly 500,000 gallons of water to a Jones Loop project. The county and city have worked phenomenally over the years and decades when it comes to water. If they need help, we help them. If we need help, they help us. So there's never been a problem between the city and the county when it comes to water. There's always agreements going back and forth, and that's what we're supposed to do. We see this bill come through. The city holds an emergency meeting. I believe it was just a few days before the county did. And we were caught off guard. And the county had their meeting several days later, maybe a week later, roughly around there. And the original bill text was a little bit different than the bill that was initiated and filed by Representative Oliver. Although we still disagreed with it, the county correctly, legally, and they have a great legal team, redrafted it a little bit. So let me kind of back up here a little bit more. What we heard from Representative Oliver was it was the city that initiated this process. So we heard, I may have heard in the newspaper, or read in the newspaper, may have heard on TV. As the city attorney, representing the city of Punta Gorda, the swirls were going that the county knew nothing about this, that they were blindsided just the way the city was. So what did I do as the city attorney, representing a client, is I have to zealously advocate for my client. So I did, on behalf of the city, a public information request to the county asking for any emails, text messages, any forms of written communication between Representative Oliver and any county official between June 1st and roughly December 15th or 16th or somewhere around there. The county, as they always do, and the city does as well, when a public information request comes through, provides information. Now, the way I wrote my public information request was very vague. And I did that for a reason. One of their staff members called me and said, can we narrow this down a little bit? Okay, I want all text messages, emails, whatever forms of written communication between Representative Oliver from her personal email, personal phone number, or her state-issued email address or state-issued phone. As well as with Danny Nix as well, because they're the delegation. It was a few days later, the county sends me back a response. So last week at the city council meeting, I presented to the city council what that information was. One, Danny Nix had no communications with anybody in regards to this water bill or the ECAP area between June 1st of last year and I'll just say the end of December. However, September 12th, nearly 3.5 weeks prior to the city ever sending an appropriations request to Representative Oliver, Representative Oliver contacted the deputy county administrator asking to have a conversation regarding water service in the ECAP area. Well, the ECAP area is the subject of this bill, although it's not specifically mentioned. So what we know is at least 3.5 weeks prior, at least in written form, at least 3.5 weeks prior to the city asking for help from the state to get money to finish the reverse osmosis plant, the ball was already in motion. We know that Representative Oliver and the Deputy County Administrator had lunch a few days later. And they met at a local establishment and discussed water service in the ECAP area. Now, what we have been told by Representative Oliver is the first time she ever became aware of a problem in the ECAP area is when the city sent their letter to her. Now, what we don't know is whether the problem's coming, or whether the problem was initiated by a developer. We don't know if it came from, and I'm gonna throw the county below the bus, whether it came from the county, whether it came from the city. We don't know. But what we do know is 3.5 weeks prior to any appropriations request, there were discussions going on. That to me is the magic question. Why has a representative been indicating the first I became aware is in October, but we know 3.5 weeks prior? What this bill also indicates, which I wholeheartedly agree with the commission on this, is we don't know. The city does not know the economic impact. Does it mean that the city is going to have to sell the water treatment plant to the county? And we're going to come back and say, hey, Mr. Chair, it's going to, the fair market value of the treatment plant is $500 million. Pony up. Now, I'm just hypothetically saying that. I don't know. What we don't know is how is the transfer going to accomplish, or how is it going to be accomplished? It also says that the bill also indicates, but it does not affect the bill, or nothing in this act shall be construed to impair, alter, or invalidate any existing bonds, capital improvement commitments, franchise agreements, interlocal agreements, or financial obligations of the district. The district is the city of Punta Gorda. So what the bill is, in essence, kind of saying, from a legal analysis, you have to transfer your assets, but you, city of Punta Gorda, are still on the hook for paying the bills. Now, in my interpretation, if the bill passes, there's probably going to be lawsuits. There's probably going to be motions and petitions for declaratory judgments to invalidate this. Because one of the first things I noticed in terms of the bond obligations, the city's bonds are not transferable. So the bill is saying, the city, you're potentially on the hook for the bills, and still paying your tens of 20s of $30 million obligations, but the assets go to the county. We don't know. So yes, right after the city had their inaugural meeting on this and objected, I wrote a letter, and it was stern, and I called it a hostile takeover, because that's the way I see it from a legal analysis. The city has hired an additional lobbyist at $8,500 per month up until July 1st, because that's when this bill could come into effect. Now, the county and city have worked very good together when it comes to interlocal agreements. This bill indicates in the first 6 months of the bill becoming law that the city and the county have to sit down and work out interlocal agreements. And then within a year, they have to find a way to make sure whatever it is transferred to the county. So here's a problem. Now, if I heard correctly, and I may be mistaken, but they can't answer me, is what is the county really getting out of this? What is the city losing, or what is the city getting out of this? Is the county getting vacant land out in the ECAP area that currently has no service to water? Or is the county taking over all the lines that are currently serviced out there? Could it be the city says, here you go, county, take it over? We don't know. And it's frustrating, and we're not getting answers. We've had the same indications that I heard earlier about, we just don't know. Now, interesting is the local delegation meeting was on December 17th. What Representative Oliver stated at that meeting was it was a unanimous vote by the local delegation to send this bill off to Tallahassee.
Oh, really?
Well, the local delegation is Representative Nix, Representative Oliver, and Senator Albritton. Senator Albritton wasn't there. I think his representative was there. But when I look at the paperwork filed with the bill, the local bill certification form, it clearly says on here, was an economic impact statement prepared at the local level and filed with the clerk of the House? And the answer is yes. Now, my understanding from the city is we haven't seen an economic impact statement. What is it going to cost the county? What is it going to cost the city? What is it going to cost the ratepayers? We don't know. Now, what I'm hoping is, and my understanding is, and maybe Mr. Harrington can clarify this for me, this bill is not a general bill that you normally see in the House of Representatives or the Senate. It's kind of like going on the consent agenda at the city or in the county.
Yeah.
Because most of the legislators in the state look at it as, this is a local problem. They filed the bill. They must need this to be implemented, so we're just going to rubber stamp it. Now, that's scary to me. Now, I may be incorrect on that, but that's my understanding. Now, the bill is currently in the committees right now being reviewed. Will eventually go to the House floor for a quick discussion. Quick means quick. And then potentially just go to the Senate to be rubber stamped. So I'm disappointed in the bill. I'm glad the county and the city are both opposed to it. I think the county and the city work very well together. And I think if there was a problem City could approach the county, and the county can approach the city, and we can work out issues. That's the city's perspective, but it helps answer some of your questions that couldn't be clarified before.
Thank you for your presentation. Richard Wirtz, Precinct 31. You said something in your opening statement when you were reading from the bill that I don't know if any of us have picked up on. I heard you use the word wastewater, and that was included in this bill. So does that mean that all the wastewater from the city comes under this umbrella of this bill? Storage treatment plant out on 74 comes under the umbrella of this bill?
Yes,
The short answer is yes.
yes.
The unknown is we don't know. What it says is that the potable water should be transferred first, and at some time down the road, down the future, we don't know when, the wastewater sewage plant or what they service is also to be transferred. We just don't know when.
Right.
We don't know if it includes the plant or just the facility or just the service or whatever it is.
Thank you.
You could be loud, honey.
Did I misunderstand you, or just, am I inferring that, I mean, were you kind of inferring that it's a done deal? That it's gonna be rubber stamped and passed through, or is there anything that can be done, to,
It's not a done deal.
No.
It can still not move out of committee.
Yeah.
But it's not like a general bill where normally there's a companion Senate bill with it.
right.
Right now, it's just sitting in committees right now.
Right.
It's had its first reading
Yeah.
on the House floor, sitting in committees right now. And it's not a done deal. It's not a done deal, because hopefully, a lot of legislators ask the magic question to the delegation: is the community in favor of this bill?
Is there any way that we can make those legislators know what our opinion is?
Look, the county has sent letters,
Lots.
the city has sent letters, we've got lobbyists, but you are more than welcome to,
Send your own.
I don't know who all the committee people are up there,
There's 14 of them.
but there's 14, you can write each one of them a letter.
Steve, it went out to 3 different committees that we all looked at it. It went to 3. And the city got a copy of the letter as well, so we expect they'll probably do the same. Because we're united on this.
All right, well, we need to find out who it is, and we need to get a letter writing campaign going.
Steve, I'd like to correct one little thing. As a legislator, your prime responsibility is back to your district, okay? And number 2, you're caretaker for 67 counties in the state and all the cities. And so they do have a responsibility back to, Miami has a responsibility to look out for Charlotte County. Is this gonna be fair to the taxpayers? And so they do have that responsibility.
Yeah, and Lindsay, I completely agree with you, because what this could also do is then end up affecting potentially Miami-Dade County, Duval County, Leon County.
That has been stated.
It hasn't been
This may be
stated.
a test bill that we could be starting to make takeovers throughout the state. I've heard that already on the streets.
What
That's
we
a
do,
rumor.
what we do know is that the local delegation didn't have public hearings or public comments or whatever it was. We don't know, it just blindsided people.
Are they in a fiduciary relationship?
Can you raise your hand, wait a second, Mark, we got one back here.
Mark Sorosco, precinct 13. Lindsay, just mentioned, that the representatives have statewide responsibilities.
Steve, give him the mic,
as well
we
as-
can't hear him.
Lindsay mentioned that representatives and senators presumably have, obligations both to their immediate district and statewide. So as a lawyer, would you define that relationship or that obligation as a fiduciary responsibility?
I mean, there's always a fiduciary responsibility. The commissioners have it to the people of Charlotte County.
As it's stated
And
in writing that it is a fiduciary relationship.
I don't know, but I can certainly try to find out for you.
Okay.
I would expect that they have a fiduciary duty to to all Floridians, to their district,
The voters of-
to the voters.
They're not
I'd like to know if it is.
I will find out and I'll get with you and get your contact and I'll get you an answer on it.
Yeah, this is kind of a semantics question. When you read the bill, it says that the county is authorized to take over the water. The county has expressed in writing that they are not willing to take over the water, so they have declined to do so. So does that make the bill kind of invalid? If you're authorizing somebody to do something that they're not going to do?
You know, that I don't know, and
That's a really good.
what I understand is at this point, and I'm speaking on behalf of the city, is that the county has opposed the bill. Now, that does not mean maybe 5 years down the road, the county wants to take it over. I don't know. But it says they're authorized to do so. We just don't know because the bill is vague.
But they said they don't wanna do it.
There are so many unknowns.
I mean, they literally put it in writing, we don't want to do this.
And if they don't wanna do it, then that's wonderful. And then when they try to, you know, we're gonna be, hey, where's our interlocal agreement? I mean, I can't speak for the county on that, but when you're authorized to do it, it's a, you may do it, it's not a, you shall do it. Because there are parts in the bill, Kathleen, that say authorized and shall. So there are, you know, those adjectives in there.
I think we'll take one more question over here.
Well, this isn't a question, it's in response to what can you do about the bill for getting people's opinions. There's two things for the Florida State Congress. There's a Senate tracker and there's a House tracker. They're both websites, web links you can go to. You can put down your approval or disapproval. You can even write in comments how you feel about that. And I don't remember off the top of my head exactly what the time frame is, but there's a very strict, small amount of time once the bill is actually proposed that they have that open for public kind of comment on that. So that's something that if you'd like, I can provide those links and then we can share that out
I'll
with the
send it out,
community.
you send it to me, Matt, I'll send
Absolutely,
it out.
fantastic.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
We can take one more.